All right, we're going to start it off with Julian Edelman and that beautiful beard he's got. So, if I'm still talking about, Lord of the Rings here, Julian Edelman is like Gimli. Is that the troll? I'm sorry to everyone that's not a Lord of the Rings fan. I think we're exposing ourselves as nerds right now, diving all the way into Middle Earth with some of these takes. But look, Julian Edelman's the first guy I want to break down. He's going right now as ADP wide receiver 32, which at first this offseason felt fine. I still wasn't that interested in Edelman, even at that ADP, but I dug into it, and it's like this dude finished as the wide receiver 7 last season in PPR formats. I know he's 34 years old, but he still played 87% of snaps. And in the 5 seasons that he's played 12 or more games in his career, he's never finished outside of the PPR wide receiver 20. So I get it. Tom Brady's out of town, and he loved checking it down to both James White and Julian Edelman as a slot receiver, but right now, Julian Edelman going as the wide receiver 32. Is he really going to dip that far with Cam Newton there in New England? Like, I don't see a ton of competition for targets in New England. Maybe we see a N'Keal Harry breakout. Maybe there's something out of Mohamed Sanu or Jacoby Myers or one of these guys. I doubt it, but maybe. But even like with a 25% target share in this offense, I think he easily could be around 125, 130 targets with Cam Newton throwing the football. And look, Cam Newton actually doesn't love throwing the ball deep. I remember the Carolina days. He always loved checking down to his running back. He might take you over the top. I remember Ted Ginn dropping quite a few of those back in the day. Even when he had Kelvin Benjamin, he loved taking a shot over the top every once in a while. But in 2018, which was the first year or the most recent year we saw Cam as a full-time starter, he was 28th in the NFL out of all qualified quarterbacks in average depth of target. So he wasn't throwing the ball far down the field on all of his attempts. So I see Edelman and James White seeing tons of opportunity in this offense underneath. They could take over that kind of like McCaffrey, Greg Olsen role. Like, I know Greg Olsen wasn't a slot receiver, but when you think about what he represented in that offense, I think Edelman could represent a lot of that for Cam Newton and Bill Belichick here in 2020. So, look, the volume's going to come down, but there still should be plenty of opportunity for Edelman to beat his current ADP of wide receiver 32. And if I get him as a stable flex option in the 6th or 7th round, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I view him as like a possession safe play. Think of like a Jarvis Landry type of profile. Granted, I don't think Edelman has the end zone, 10 zone, yard creating abilities that Landry has, but Edelman's going to be a sneaky slot guy just like he's always been. You talk about the short, quick passing game, and I remember on that episode, the breaking episode where we talked about right when Cam had initially signed with the Patriots, and I asked you the question, is Julian Edelman going to be the new Greg Olsen here? And over time, I feel like both of us have been slightly more and more bullish on that comparison between those two, letting Edelman just be that safety valve for Cam and everything else. I'm interested in this Patriots offense. I think there's going to be a lot of differences, things that we have not seen with Josh McDaniels now that Brady is gone there. I think it's a whole different playbook.
When I look at some of those guys around his ADP, I see Tyler Boyd, who I know we'll talk about on this pod. I see Jarvis, AJ Green, Stephon Diggs. But I look at these AJ Green and Stephon Diggs guys, and the upside is huge. So I guess in this sense, it depends on roster construction. Like if you go out in round 1 and 2, and you have, we'll make this up, Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp as your wide receiver 1 and 2, those are really volatile players, so you're probably going to want to go with Edelman to give you some stability. But if you go out in round 1 and 2 and you got like a DJ Moore and a Robert Woods, that's where probably with that pick I'd rather go with an AJ Green. So Edelman right there, I'm perfectly fine with him, and I'm going to be hyped. Yeah. Like we said, there are so many receivers in that tier this year. You're going to be able to find value in round 6 and 7, and that's why it's important to go running back earlier. Maybe you got a shot at a Travis Kelce or a George Kittle earlier this season just because there is so much depth at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and we're seeing 3 and 4 wide receiver sets coming out at an all-time high in the league. It's just the wide receiver depth this year is insane. In terms of other pass catchers in New England, is N'Keal Harry a guy that you're looking at as an option? I've been picking him up in a lot of places as my last pick, second to last pick, just for the upside that he could potentially have. We saw him start to pull it together a little bit in that playoff stretch. He actually led the Patriots in targets over the playoffs. I guess when they played, Tennessee. And what do you think about N'Keal Harry here? Do you see him as kind of taking over that Kelvin Benjamin or Devin Funchess role that we've seen Cam perform with in the past?
I mean, even if he does, do you want the Kelvin Benjamin or Devin Funchess role? I mean, hear those names you just said. So it's just tough. The upside for N'Keal Harry, I think Oh, I don't know. I'm staying away. Like if I'm wrong on N'Keal Harry, I'm not even like a N'Keal Harry hater. I'm just probably not going to draft him. I don't know a ton about the guy, to be honest. I don't know how he's going to fit in with Cam Newton here in New England. I don't know what the offense is going to look like this year. So in his range, I see Preston Williams, Sammy Watkins, Michael Pittman, Brashad Perriman. Even way down the list, I see players like, Paris Campbell, James Washington. So I'm never going to take N'Keal Harry because there's just so many other receiver names I'd rather take with that upside shot.